Welcome to the Chanwow podcast. My name is Chantel, and I guess I'll kind of just introduce myself and kind of my story when it comes to why I wanted to start this podcast. So I went to school for radio and television broadcasting, and then I continued my education and I got a degree in professional communications. And I am somebody who is super lucky because most people would say that this isn't really a career or a life route that most Asians would allow their children to go down. And so I'm super, super lucky to have really supportive parents and family and friends. And I guess I'll kind of just tell you why and how I got into doing what I am doing right now. I love everything multimedia. And I'll talk about also the name of this podcast, the Chanwow, where it comes from. So just a little bit of background information. I was born here in Canada. I come from two immigrant Filipino parents, and I have an older sister, and I love her so much. Her name is Kimberly. Hi to Kim if you're listening to this. I love you. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to start off with this. So I'm going to have this podcast on a multitude of audio listening platforms, but I also have a YouTube channel, and I'll leave all my information in the description. But for those of you who are watching on my YouTube, I do have a video version of all my podcasts, and they'll be up on my YouTube channel. And so I just wanted it to be available to people who both are, there's people who like audio to consume their content, and then there's some people who love video. And I kind of wanted to do a little bit of like making it personable with the video aspect, because I personally love watching podcasts that have video versions up on YouTube. So that's why I wanted to do this. So that's just like the first and foremost. Sorry, I'll get back to my story. I've always been a really talkative little girl. I remember my parents told me that I started talking around like full sentences and like wouldn't shut up around 2 or 3 years old. And I was always into things like music and sports and kind of just like entertainment. I was in the church choir when I was a kid as well, up until I think junior high. And I loved performing and just like doing things in front of people, like singing or dancing or whatever. And so it's always been kind of part of me to like talk. Like, honestly, my parents, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for university, and I brought up the idea of radio and television broadcasting, they were like, you know what? You talk too much, you never shut up, so might as well get paid for it. Going back again. Honestly, I'll talk about this in another episode of my podcast, but I didn't really have like a career I wanted to do my entire life. There wasn't like a specific thing I wanted to be. It changed from like singer to teacher to lawyer to pediatrician, but I really never had like anything in my life that had like me putting effort into getting into those goals, And I'll talk about career again in another episode. I never took my future too seriously, for lack of better words. But I remember towards, I think, high school, I told myself I wanted to be a teacher because I was super involved in school all the time throughout, like, since I was a kid, elementary, junior high, high school. And I was always like helping out teachers or helping out with like school events like assemblies or celebrations, and doing the readings for church because I went to a Catholic school. Yeah, and then in junior high, I was part of like the leadership team, and I did like a lot of extracurricular activities. I played sports, and then same thing in high school. But in high school, I did a lot of things, and my teachers always told me that they see myself being a teacher because I was helping them so much in the education system. And so just to give you an idea, I like hosted our talent shows. I hosted our open houses. Um, they would ask me sometimes to do the morning announcements, or I was in drama class. So I was also part of talent shows, and I was also co-president of student council in grade 12. Um, and yeah, I was captain of my volleyball teams a couple times. And so I don't know, speaking, I guess public speaking, I've never been afraid of it. There is those before stage jitters, but I was never afraid to do those things. And a lot of the times I would like ad lib a lot of what I'm saying. A lot of the times I wouldn't prepare a speech and I would just say things and it was natural. And like I was just always been really good with expressing what I think and in a professional manner. So yeah, so there's this one time my best friend and I were watching the VMA, so the Video Music Awards here in Canada, held by Much Music, and I think it's in partnership with MTV in the States. And we were watching the show, and I think it was the year that like I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure it was the year that Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner, or maybe it was just Kendall Jenner, was hosting the show. And she messed up a couple times, she's human, whatever. And my best friend told me, she said, you know what? I totally see you doing this. I mean, you host a bunch of events and stuff at school, like athletic banquets. Again, like I said, talent shows, open houses, all that stuff. She's like, I totally see you doing this. And because she knows me as a person, of course, so she knows that I love music and I love entertainment and sports. And so I never really thought about it. So I was like, wow, maybe I should consider this. And the name of the podcast comes from Chanwow, also because of my best friend. Her name is Danica, by the way. I love you, Dan, if you're listening to this. She's been with me since we've known each other since we were 3 years old. And it's crazy to continue a relationship into your adulthood. But yeah, so there's one time we were watching a show and then all of a sudden it changed to infomercials. And I don't know if we were just tired from whatever we were doing that day, but we were sitting there just staring at the TV and the commercial for a Chanwow comes up. And I don't know if you know what a Chanwow is. It's like those, it's like a cloth that you use to wipe stuff, like cleaning, like whatever. And then she's like, haha, it sounds like Chanwow instead of Chanwow, because it was spelled like SHAMWOW, but my name is Chantel, so a lot of people called me Shan as my nickname. So CHANWOW. And I don't know how, but the name just stuck because she called me Chanwow at school or like in our after school extracurricular activities. And she was also in church choir with me. And so everybody around me kind of just started calling me Chanwow as like a nickname. And then it stuck, and like now my coworkers at my restaurant job that I was working, they call me that, and just like new friends or whatever. So yeah, Chanwow, that's where it comes from. So I credit her to all of this. And so anyways, when I went to the Philippines that same year, I met some of my family members that I've never met before. And, I talk all the time and I talk really fast. And Filipinos are really good with English in general because they really emphasize English in their school curriculum. And so I could communicate with my cousins very well, but they were just like amazed by me. And they said, have you ever thought of going into career of mass comm? Because they knew I had just graduated from high school and I was looking for something in university, because I actually applied in Bachelor of Arts, but because I wasn't really sure what I did. I feel like Bachelor of Arts is very general for people who don't know what they want to do. So anyways, I was already enrolled in university, but they were like, have you ever thought of doing mass comm? And I was like, what the heck is that? And then they explained it to me and I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? My best friend literally told me that she sees me on TV. Hosting or like having a talk show host or talk show or whatever. And I was like, no. And I just thought it was really weird because for the longest time in high school, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, right? So then I came back home after my vacation in the Philippines and I went into university and I was doing Bachelor of Arts classes and I absolutely hated it. I hated it. And I decided to look up if there was a broadcasting course in my city. And so I did. And I found one. And so I was like thinking to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm already in university. My parents are going to hate me if I like drop out. But then I thought to myself, I'm dropping out to do a different program. But the thing is, I didn't know if my parents would accept that I would be changing my careers from wanting to become a teacher to radio and television broadcasting. And so I applied without telling my parents, and then I got in. Um, and apparently I didn't know this, and like I hate this is like a I don't like to brag, but the reality is, um, when I got into the program and we met our teachers and the admin and staff, they were telling us, I hope you guys know that the semester that you applied for, there was like 300 to 500 applicants, like the most that they've seen in a while. And they only accepted, I think, 30 to 40 kids. And I was one of them. So I was like, wow, 30 to 40 like kids out of 300 to 500. That's insane. And so that kind of was just like the confirmation that maybe I should be doing this. So I excelled in all of my classes. I had the best time. I made such great friends at that college. And my parents kind of just accepted it, and they saw how happy I was and how well I was doing. And so it wasn't that they were forced to accept it, they were just very supportive. And my parents were always like that. I'm very, very lucky, like I say, to have my parents who are like this. They say, as long as you're happy and you know you can take care of yourself with a job that you love, that's all that we care about. Of course, they might have been disappointed that I dropped out. But then when I was done my college program, I decided to continue my education and get a degree, and that kind of made them happy as well. But to give you an idea of what I did in school, I did everything from in front of and behind the camera for television, and then same thing with radio. Everything from an on-air personality to everything behind the scenes. So in radio, we learned things like marketing, like meeting clients and putting advertisements on radio. Most people are aware of that. And then we learned the technical things, performance on radio, all that stuff. And then again on air personality, to learn about music and like the law of that and all that stuff. And then I specialized actually in television because I wanted to be on television. And it was just really funny because my dad, when I was younger, he always made this joke that he would love to see me on TV as the weather girl, and every morning he would turn on the TV and he wanted me to be on the TV and say, "Dad, it's too cold, don't go outside." And if you know me, you know that I have a really, really strong relationship with my dad. I'm definitely daddy's girl, and I love him so much. So it all came like full circle. Anyways, yeah, and in the television side, we learned everything from photography, videography, we learned editing, we learned writing, we learned producing, we learned switch control, like in the control room of live broadcasts. And then we learned also things in the studio. So like audio, we learned like studio manager, so the person that usually would like count down a camera, that sort of stuff. And then yeah, we learned to do everything on air. And what we learned for on air was journalism. It was to become a reporter, to become somebody who would appear on air but in news. And we did get a little bit of the taste of doing entertainment and sports, but the thing is, it was very heavily journalism. And that's something that just really wasn't me, because when I did my practicum or my internship, as part of my education, I did work as a reporter, and it was just not for me. It was really hard. People are actually very, very mean to journalists, and I understand why sometimes. It's just like, difference of opinion or whatever. But that's besides the point. And So yeah, that wasn't for me. I also learned things like videography for film and like commercials and yeah, like advertising and all that stuff. So everything kind of multimedia, social media, we also learned as well. Writing for the web, we learned all that stuff too. So like again, like I said, everything multimedia, like that's what I learned. And then professional communications, to sum it all up, it's basically working. They teach us to like for you to be working for a company or for yourself to basically do anything that is communicating with the public. So that if like there's, it's kind of like public relations, but not really. It's kind of like you write the speech for the spokesperson, or to relate to COVID nowadays, somebody who would help Dr. Hinshaw, who gives the COVID updates in Alberta, to help her write the speeches. That would be a communications person. Or in politics, you can be like an assistant of a politician and be in charge of like their meetings and who they see, and if they have to write emails or letters, everything like that. Even advertisement for if they're running again for office. That's all a communications person that's helping. And so that's a little bit more of the, again, the professional side. But I personally love doing things entertainment wise. And so it all came full circle when I wanted to do this podcast. My best friend telling me that she sees me doing something, like hosting something, and then seeing me on TV. I guess it's a different type of like goal that I went towards, and it's a solo venture. And yeah, I'm just like super excited to do it. That's basically my story. It's been super hard with COVID to try to find jobs, because there's some people who like don't want to meet up because of COVID restrictions or whatever. And so I thought maybe this is like an entrepreneurship type of life path that I'm going through now. And honestly, I'm open to opportunity and I'm just okay with it. So yeah, in this podcast, I'm just gonna be talking about random stuff. I'm gonna talk about, you know, life and struggles and stuff, being youth in today's society. Maybe I can give some insight on what it's like to be an immigrant, or somebody that comes from immigrant parents, or, you know, to have that double identity of being a Filipino but then being Canadian and not really fitting in, that sort of stuff. I can talk about careers. I could talk about, like, I don't know. I just like I have a lot. I have an array of subjects that I want to talk about. And I just wanted to share also that I'm really, really happy that I'm going to actually collab with a lot of people locally, whether it's business owners, people like friends who I just find super interesting, and then musicians, and then some athletes. So yeah, I hope that you like this, and I hope that you would tune into all of my stuff as part of your consumption of content and anything social media. I know a lot of people spend a lot of time doing things online, whether it's YouTube or podcasts or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to offer something where you guys can watch if you want, or you can listen if you're doing chores or, you know, multitasking. Maybe you're driving listening to this. And I always say this on my YouTube, but I'm super, super thankful for everybody that supports me. I just want this to be like super chill. There's going to be times where I'm just going to be in my house robe. Right now, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I am just literally on my laptop and in my room. I will want this to be a little bit more professional in the future, so I do have some plans to have a studio that I can record at and have a lot more proper equipment, but I do have the basics right now, so I'm okay with that. And yeah, I just want this to be super chill, like us just chilling, talking, having a conversation. Well, I guess you just listening to me. So yeah, I hope any of these things relate to you, and I hope it resonates with you, and I hope that, I don't know, maybe it can make a difference in your life. And I guess that's my main goal with this podcast. So yeah, I'm hoping that, I don't know if this will become big, and I don't really care if it does, but I just know that when you just give out good energy and positive energy out into the world, you'll definitely get it back. And so yeah, I guess that's kind of just it. I hope you continue to watch the rest of my episodes, or listen to my episodes if you're listening on podcast version for like audio on, I actually don't even know where I'm going to put this for audio, like Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, this brings this episode to a close. Thanks for listening to the entire thing. I know it's kind of long. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact me. All of my information will be below. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks, guys.